I failed. Noom. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, you guys. My name is Jackie. If you're new, I'm so glad you found me. If you don't know anything about me and this is the first time you're seeing my face, let me give you a quick rundown. I am in recovery for drug and alcohol addiction. I struggled with that for 14 years. I've been clean and sober 7+ years. When I got clean, one of the very first things I mistakenly did was I replaced one addiction for another. I replaced the drug and alcohol addiction with a food addiction. And I ballooned up to 268 pounds when I was pregnant with my son. When I had my son, I dedicated the next year to year and a half to losing weight. I lost just over 80 pounds. I got down to about 175. Here's me in that state of like lean. That was lean for me. Don't get me wrong, when I was on drugs, I was very lean. Like I had my hip bones poking out and I was sort of what they call sunken. Like I wasn't healthy lean. I was just lean from malnutrition basically because I was surviving off dope and alcohol and the few insured drinks that my dealer would make me drink just so I had something in me. But I would go weeks with little to no food. He would have me drink Ensure shakes, which is like, I guess it's kind of like a way of drinking liquid food. So I would have some food on me, but I really wasn't interested in food. And I would go long periods without actually truly sitting down and eating a meal. So it's sort of ironic that when I got clean, I became addicted to food, almost like a polar opposite situation. But growing up, I always had a healthy relationship with food. I didn't think too much about it. I ate when I was hungry. I don't remember foods being like off limits and anything like that. But as I grew older, I developed bulimia, and I will save that for a whole nother video, like my bulimia story. But basically, when I started using drugs, what I liked about cocaine was that it suppressed my appetite. So I knew almost immediately I was going to start leaning out, and I wanted to be thin so badly. I grew up idolizing models that were just rail thin. They called that heroin chic back in the day, and I was willing to do whatever it took to attain that amount of leanness. But what I failed to realize was my body type wasn't built to be that lean, and that sort of was an unhealthy goal for me to attain to. Now, with Noom, okay, so this video I'm going to update you on me failing Noom, sort of. I don't believe I failed in the way that all was lost, because I'm very familiar with failure. I'm very familiar with trying things and not being good at them and falling flat on my face. And recovery prepared me for failure time and time again too, because for the longest time I couldn't maintain my sobriety, and I would fail and I would relapse and I would go through this vicious cycle. So failure to me is not something I shy away from, but making this video still isn't a fun thing to do, because anytime I fail at something, especially in this sort of thing where I'm sort of failing publicly, I declared when I started this YouTube channel, I wanted to get in better physical shape. I wanted to get better mental and emotional and spiritual, and I wanted to progress and sort of bring this all together. And these are things that I struggle with, but I'm not going to sit on here and say, oh, look, I did it when I didn't. So I failed, and I tried Noom since 2020, August. It's March now. We can scroll through my weight on the app, and then I stepped on the scale this morning, and it was like 215, 216, 214, something like that. But basically, if we look at the history, when I started Noom, I was at 215. I'm still at 215 today, or a pound or two off. So I failed in that aspect, but I did learn a lot from Noom. And I wouldn't say Noom is a bad program. Noom just wasn't for me, right? What I would like to say is I didn't join the app and not participate. I didn't participate in the social media realm element because I personally am off social media right now other than YouTube. So I read the articles, I worked with my coach, I worked out regularly. I tried very, very much to track what I was eating, to watch what I was eating, to make good choices as far as nutrition. I definitely gave it a very good effort. Now, I will say, I tried to do all of this in the midst of the pandemic, so I think right there that tells me I maybe was trying to take on too much of what I was able to. How much could I really devote to Noom when I was feeling overwhelmed in my business, overwhelmed at home with all of the responsibility, with all the increased responsibilities due to the pandemic? So I think that played a factor in it, and I think I have to give myself grace there. But I also know I'm also no stranger to pulling the plug when something isn't giving me what I need from it. And I've lost the weight before doing what I call like the bare basics. So tracking on the Lose It app, working out 5 to 6 days a week. What else? Having one dessert a week and one cheat meal a week, increased water, increased protein. So I'm going to go back to the bare basics just because I'm dealing with a pulled back muscle, which is an ongoing injury because it's very easy to re-injure that back muscle. I'm dealing with arthritis of my knee. Because I did the app for a year and I really did give it a good effort, I don't want to dedicate another year to Noom. I want to dedicate the next year to doing it the way I did it myself originally, because at least I know that did work for me. And so if I do that again, in a year's time, I could look different. I could look significantly different. I could rededicate to Noom for a year, but my way doesn't require that monthly payment. And I personally, I can be a cheap person when it comes to certain things, but I'm also willing to invest in services that perform and provide for me what I need. And I think during the pandemic, Noom did just that. It gave me exactly what I needed. Therapy and the gym were stripped from me. In-person therapy was a no-go. In-person gym, that was a no-go. So I had to learn how to do workouts on YouTube at home, how to stay motivated with just being at home working out. Or for me, like going to the gym, that was always like my escape. That was my happy place. Going to therapy, yeah, it kind of sucked, but I always felt better when I got back. And having both of those two main coping mechanisms stripped from me during the pandemic, I was just like, okay, well, this is the perfect time to try something like Noom, because I like that it had been developed with people with degrees in psychology, because I felt like, given my mental state, like it wasn't the most stable. So I felt comfort in knowing that those were the people that had made the app. So if anybody is wondering, do I recommend Noom? Do I not recommend Noom? To that, I would say it's not up to me. It's up to what your individual needs are. It's completely up to the individual. If anybody from Noom is watching this or finds this video, I want to say thank you so much for all of the support that you provided, because you gave me exactly what I needed during the pandemic. I did not relapse on drugs or alcohol. I did not actually really gain weight. It pretty much stayed the same. And for that, I'm very grateful. And I do feel like I learned a lot. So I'm very thankful for that. And yeah, I'm excited to be moving on. I had to accept that for whatever reason, it wasn't working for me, but it did deliver me that companionship and support I needed during the pandemic. Now I'm feeling more like myself. I can go to the gym. That is an option now. I can go back in. I can't go in-person therapy, but I can do it online. So I'm willing to go back to my original method. And that was a long way of saying I am not going to depress you today with still shots of me standing there looking depressed, like, look, I made no progress. Don't feel sorry for me. I gave it a good effort. I did fail. I did everything I could and I still failed. I didn't hit my goal. What I will show you is me working out today without a shirt so that I'm not hiding. I don't work out without a shirt. Okay, that's not like my thing. I always wear t-shirts and leggings, but I'm gonna work out with a sports bra and shorts because this is gonna be my progress picture. I'm not gonna stand there and look sad and depressed and like, oh, I didn't hit my goal. but I'm not going to shy away from the fact that this is what my body looks like at 215 pounds. I am 5 foot 7 inches. This is heavy for me. I should not be weighing this much. I do want to get to a better weight, but this is me showing, look, I'm showing up. I'm still trying. This is me getting stronger. This is me not giving up on myself. This is me taking all the lessons that I learned from Noom about nutrition, about food, and starting to practice them. This is me showing up for myself even when I don't want to. And this is me telling myself what a fat fuck I've become. And this is me imagining opening up a bakery and living out my wildest donut dreams. Okay, I'm throwing on a shirt because this is also half the battle, is fighting all that inner like self-critic dialogue. And yeah, I was like, I'll work out with no shirt. That'll be my progress picture. It'll be inspiring for me to watch as I'm editing. Like, you're not that heavy, like, because I'll be able to see the muscles actually working. And then what actually happened was there was so much fat on top of the muscles that it became very demotivating. So now this is like me fighting back against that. I'm finishing this workout and I'm having lunch. Let's get right back into the rest of the video. This is me saying, if this is something you struggle with, it's not just you. This is a really hard thing, especially for women. Our metabolism slows down. My husband eats significantly more processed foods and foods that are in like what Noom calls the red zone, so less calorie dense foods. I eat far more whole foods, but I pack on the weight so much easier than him. And that is just because my metabolism, I believe, is slower. And it's going to continue to get slower as I get older. Because I have arthritis, because I have depression, and because I do feel better when I work out and I'm in a better shape, I am dedicating the next year and the next year and however many years it takes to get in a better shape. So this is my progress for now, or lack thereof. This is my failure at Noom, but not really. It's sort of a failure because I learned a lot from the experience and I'm dedicated to moving forward. So if you watched this far, thank you. For everybody that leaves comments, thank you so much. The ones I don't respond to, whatever, apparently I'm not smart enough to figure out how to respond to certain comments, because like I'll see a comment come through and then when I go back to respond to it, it's like gone. So other than that, I do appreciate all the comments. I don't know why it doesn't let me respond to every single one, but I do appreciate all the support you show me here on YouTube. And speaking of comments, I brought those up for a reason. If anybody decides to dissect my body or get nasty in the comment section, because I have a history of bulimia and a lot of problems regarding like body dysmorphia or whatever you want to call it, like with my self-image, that is definitely something I struggle with. I continue to struggle with. If people cannot be respectful in the comments, which I know the vast majority of people will be, but if it starts to be an issue, I will just have to turn off comments on this video. And thank you again for all your support and for hanging out with me this last year. It really does mean so much to me, and I look forward to making more videos here on YouTube. So let's go ahead and end the video with one of my very favorite quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. about perseverance, and I will catch you guys next week. Peace.